will be his last game as the Wolverines head coach. And I would be excited. I would be ecstatic if I see Harbaugh putting on a Carolina Panthers hat come this spring. And I think there's a possibility that you do see Jim Harbaugh as the Carolina Panthers head coach.
Let's go.
We got the CFP National Championship. 10 weeks ago, if you would have asked me would these teams be playing each other, I highly doubt that I would have said that these be the teams that we see in the national championship. But here we are, the Michigan Wolverines, still undefeated, taking on the undefeated Washington Huskies. We got Michael Penix Jr., Heisman finalist, and an outstanding elite receiving corps from Washington, one of the best offensive lines in the country. Michael Penix Jr. was firing on all cylinders against Texas in the semifinal. Played a great game. I think really moved up on some draft boards in terms of that performance. You got J.J. McCarthy, the strong running game of Michigan, and Blake Corum, a solid defense up front. Little less solid in that secondary for Michigan, but an all-around great team, well coached in the Michigan Wolverines, all the adversity they faced this year. And these teams show down on Monday night for the national championship. If you got to make a pick, who do you have winning the national championship this year?
I think this is Michigan's year. I thought Alabama was going to win it all this season, and then Nick Saban would ride off into the sunset with his last national championship and finally retire from the college football ranks. But they lost to Michigan the other night. Michigan's offense is well balanced as well as their defense. And I had texted you during that game, and I said, man, I didn't realize McCarthy, the quarterback from Michigan, has some wheels on him. Guy can move.
Yes.
He's accurate. He has a great supporting cast, and that defense is stout. So when I think about Washington, a high-powered offense that loves to throw the ball down the field, if Michigan can contain and put pressure on Michael Penix Jr., then it's going to cause a lot of havoc during the national championship game on Monday night. So I have Michigan winning, and honestly, it might be a blowout.
What do you have as a score?
17-35.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, 17-35.
What was that?
Yeah, 17-35.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think that's a bad assessment at all. I think this game could go one or two ways. To your point, Michigan is strong up front when it comes to the defense. I think they might be able to rattle Michael Penix Jr. I highly doubt it, though. When we look at Washington's offensive line, they've been superb throughout the year. Washington has won, 9 straight games or 10 straight games by 10 points or less? I think it's 9 straight games by 10 points or less. So they're battle tested. They win a lot of these close games. I do think there's a scenario where their luck runs out on Monday, right? You just don't keep squeaking by these games. They almost lost in the semifinal when a Washington player went down with an injury that provided time for Texas to get back into the game. And had Quinn Ewers made a better throw on that last play of the game, I think you see Texas against Michigan, which I called earlier in this whole, playoff prediction when we were talking about what teams will play in the national championship. I thought it would be a Michigan-Texas game, but Texas just wasn't able to win in those last seconds. Too many mistakes, too many fumbles by the running backs in that game in which Washington wasn't turning the ball over in the way that Texas was. But I think what we'll see in this game is that Michael Penix Jr. will be sharp, just as he was in the semifinals. He'll make all of the throws. He has the tool set to make all of the throws on the field. I don't think there's a throw that Michael Penix Jr. can't make, and he really impressed me in the semifinal. I think the difference in this game is the elite talent that Washington has at receiver versus the Michigan secondary and their DBs. I don't think they're going to match up well with the Washington receiving corps. I think these guys are going to have a field day on this secondary. I don't necessarily think that wins Washington the game, though. So I know I'm going all over the place, but ultimately I'm giving you guys all of my thoughts about the game. So I think that's one of the X factors. How well does Michigan's defense, particularly their secondary matchup with the Washington receiving corps, and then how well does Blake Corum run the ball on this Washington's defense? If there's a weak spot, it's Washington's defense. And I think that Blake Corum is going to be able to run the ball effectively on their defense. I think that's how a lot of their points will come on the ground. But ultimately, in a shootout, which I think this game will be, I have to lean towards the team that is more inclined to score points at a higher clip. So I'm going to take Washington to win this football game. I think this game is going to be high scoring. It's just that both of the semifinal games were. I think Washington pulls this game off. I got to give it a score. I'm going to take Washington winning the game 38-34.